Something that I think is not talked about a lot or taken very seriously when stated is the sentence change your mindset. Nowadays, people are so unaware when it comes to this kind of thing, I think, and aren't willing to change the way they think about things because it implies that they weren't thinking about it right in the first place. I'm being vague because this applies to almost everything in life: mundane tasks, education, working, or opinionated things like politics. However, your mindset is the most crucial part about how you operate. This is why people take drugs or avoid listening to sad music, because the way that you think completely changes everything about you. It sounds basic, but it's the truth, and I feel like people don't think about it a lot or take it into consideration. And obviously, changing your mindset on a topic is a hard thing to do, and it's not instantaneous, which is why most people overlook it. And I will say there are levels to this kind of stuff. I'm no expert, this is just something I've observed recently that I think feels so trivial, but it makes a huge difference when you try it. Sometimes you can change your mindset internally, and sometimes an external force needs to do it. I'll present two examples. In some circumstances, you can do what is called a mental flip. I call it a mental flip because sometimes you literally need to do a mental flip, kind of like flipping a warm pillow. Yesterday I was sitting in my class and I was tired. It was a Friday. I had worked the following class and I just didn't want to do anything. The teacher for this specific class grades every single assignment and hands those assignments out like candy. If you miss one assignment or don't put enough effort into that assignment, it can tank your grade basically. We had to provide 3 quotes from the book Kite Runner, which is a great book, and reveal contrast between characters with those quotes. I sat in my seat sitting, just not moving because I was tired, burnt out like any other student in 3rd quarter. However, for some random reason, I was thinking about mindset. I was thinking about energies, manifestation, and what every better person tells you about a good mindset, and I just tried to test it out. I remember imagining my brain flipping itself over like a cog turning forward and thinking to myself, this will be easy, I can do this quickly. Mantras to that extent. I was in a way revitalized and I grinded the paper out in like 20 minutes and I did a good job on it too. There's this book I read recently, The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. It's a pretty popular book. It makes a point that kids who get elected into prestigious schools end up with a higher likelihood of succeeding, and they come in with the mindset and the expectation of staying on top of things, which results in them actually doing that. If you ever wonder how the overachiever is succeeding all the time, especially in school, they probably just have the mindset that they can do it with ease, which sees them actually doing that. I think during quarantine and ever since quarantine, self-deprecation has been pushed a lot, and I used to self-deprecate a lot in those years, as most people did, and I think it actually messed me up on a mental level because of the negative headspace, as I mentioned, probably affected how I viewed the world. Shifting topics, the other example I want to talk about is reading. I also wanted to tie reading into this video because it's a recent obsession of mine and we're productive here. A video doesn't need to be one topic. I used to view reading as a chore. Genuinely nothing could get me to read. When people would tell me to read, it only fueled my desire not to read because I didn't want to read. However, out of all things, TikTok changed my point of view. I was especially drawn towards the aspect of buying and keeping books, maybe just because I really like the idea of owning brand new copies, but it fundamentally changed my viewpoint of reading from a chore to a hobby. My dad recently gave me like 10 books, thanks dad. So now I have all those to read, and plus all the books I bought for myself, which means I have a lot to get through. This year I read The Outliers, which I liked. Things Fall Apart, which was also good, but it was mandatory reading for me and I had to annotate every page. I dreaded reading that thing. As well as Wuthering Heights, which I loved. I highly recommend, even though it's kind of hard to read at first for us Gen Z people. While I still maintain the notion that the internet has many advantages over reading, I will say that reading is the longest and most intricate form of entertainment that is still a profitable industry. To anyone watching this who doesn't like reading, I suggest going to Barnes & Nobles and just picking out a book with the coolest cover. It's a pretty nice experience. The point of this video is that, especially if you're wondering how to be a more cooler, productive, carefree person, you should simply shift your mindset. It's hard, you have to be really patient, but any productivity is better than nothing, and the stuff I talked about in this video should help. Those are my findings. Currently, I'm reading a book about energies and manifestations and whatnot. I think that is a logical next step to this video, so I'll circle back in like a couple months when I have something to say, but that's about it for now.